There was the first bet I placed on DraftKings today. They gave
It's
me,
nice.
yeah, they gave me a $1 bet for the Steelers to win. One bet $1, win 100, and like,
Wait,
all the Steelers have to do is beat the Cowboys.
oh wow. All right, well we are live now, so see if I can get this chat going up in here. Yeah, but that was that was a hell of a game by the Vikings. There's no other real way to go around it.
Besides the
Uh,
special teams.
yeah, special teams is gonna get their ass handed to them this week probably, and Zimmer. The Lions have 3 block punts in 2 weeks, which is the craziest stat I've heard of in a while. But God, what a win! I think the storyline. I'll just start. Storyline for the game is I just think Dalvin Cook. That's all I really got to go with. Is Dalvin Cook is my main MVP of the game. Eric Kendricks, Eric Wilson, those two played really well. Vikings defense is still suspect, but Jim, what do you think?
I mean, that was, I mean, the first 2 drives. I mean, just right down the field. And like right when the first drive, Cook breaks that first run, he gets a first down, and then I was like, I don't think the Lions are gonna be able to stop the run today. And like, it would have been nice to see the Vikings offense in that third quarter when they got those 2 picks to kind of finish it. Then said they just had just 2 bad possessions.
Yeah,
Um, but other than that, I mean, look, I mean, this is not a perfect team. I'm hoping they can. There's some things they're just not gonna be able to fix. Like you and I just talked about. Like
yep,
defensively, like teams are gonna be able to chip away at them.
yeah,
They're gonna be able to move the ball. Just obviously clean up the special teams. The block punts, obviously, that should be pretty correctable. But the return game too was terrible.
yeah,
KJ Osborne was actually someone I was actually pretty excited about because I think he's a good player.
yeah.
But I think he can be a good player. But the return games weren't good too. But I mean, tonight it's 2 division wins in a row, and they set themselves up next week. They can.
Yeah.
I can't believe it, but they can tie the Bears on the loss side.
Yeah.
And
Seriously. I got a
I'm
chance.
skeptical, but they can do it.
Yeah. Other NFL news going around. Looks like Teddy's going to have a chance to come down and get a game-winning field goal in Kansas City.
Big Teddy win. That could be a
Yeah.
game when the Panthers come here, possibly.
Yeah. Yeah. Seriously. Looks like the Jaguars, them and the Cowboys are the only easy wins on the schedule, I feel like. But, overall, I thought it was a good game. The only thing that really, obviously the special teams was really, really sloppy today.
Yep.
Special teams, it's the third most important part of football, but it's just like next week against Chicago and like on a Monday night in a huge divisional game, like that can't happen. Like we can't have like an extra point and like a missed field or a missed extra point and 2 block punts. And anyways, my highlight player too is Eric Wilson. He had a sack, the interception. From someone who last year who I was really questioning his future with the Vikings, like kind of being like, oh, all we have is Kendricks. That's always was kind of what I was thinking. But now it's kind of seemed like it wasn't just today where he had splash plays. It was the whole season.
Yeah.
It's been these splash plays from Eric Wilson. Hell of a shout out. Kevin Stern in the chat says, "Are we going to break the bank for Eric Wilson?" I hope not. I hope you don't break the bank for him. But he definitely the undrafted guy from Cincinnati. He's definitely earned a contract, and which is good.
And that's the beautiful thing about a player like Eric Wilson. You don't have to break bank for him. He's the kind of guy you developed. There's some things. Barr is probably a little bit better against the run sometimes than Eric is. But still, Wilson got a sack, a pick. He had that huge interception in Seattle. He has made plays. And honestly, if you weigh, the contract things with Wilson and Barr, yes, of course, there's some things that Barr does better. But, Eric Wilson, are you really lacking a ton, with Eric Wilson out there instead of Anthony Barr? I guess that would be the question. And, Eric Wilson's has done a really nice job filling in.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely, especially with Barr. I mean, now just looking back hindsight's always 2020, but I wish he signed with the Jets that one year. But I mean, yeah, no, Eric Wilson. I mean, I'm just happy for him, the undrafted guy. I mean, that's sweet. Michael Miller in the chat. Playoffs. I don't care what anybody says. Bears would be food on Monday night. 4-5 coming. Hashtag skull.
Oof.
God,
Careful.
that's gonna listen. There are a lot of demons. Just that whole game. Like I remember when we were looking at that game before the year, like every single Vikings fan wrote that up as a loss. Like I don't care what you were thinking. It's Kirk Cousins on a Monday night. It's just the Vikings versus the Bears, and then it's just the Vikings in Soldier Field. I mean, all the amount of demons they're gonna have to overcome to win that game is gonna be. And listen, I get the Bears offense is probably. I mean, it might be the worst in the league over the
It's
past 2 years. I mean,
it's brutal. It is like it's their games. I've watched 9 games. I've caught 9 pieces of their 9 games this year. It's awful. I can't even say how bad it is.
Yeah.
It makes me upset.
I mean, and especially just Nagy being an offensive coach. I mean, listen, the Bears are vulnerable. However, just the Bears defense is still really, really good.
Yes.
Like it's still like I get they're gonna be 5-4 and it's gonna look like, oh, that's 3 losses in a row. And I bet you Vegas will probably put this game as like a pick'em or -1 for Chicago. But I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to see next week if for some reason Dalvin is taken away, where is their next layer? Like, where is the next? Because the offense has been putting up points this year. I mean, the offense has been pretty good overall, but where's the next layer is what I'm going to be looking for.
Yeah. I think my biggest concern next week is just what you said, is the Bears. Look, the Vikings offense that we've seen the past 2 weeks, it's there's a good chance it's definitely not going to be as easy as it's been the past 2 weeks. The Bears took away Derrick Henry today against the Titans, and Ryan Tannehill he didn't play bad. He had a couple of nice throws, but Titans' offense wasn't very good today either. And next week I'm just seeing like the Bears' front seven is very good, obviously.
Yep.
And it's just been a struggle for Kirk Cousins and the Vikings offensive line against the Bears. But I will say the Vikings offensive line the past 2 weeks has been very good. And that has been a nice thing. As for Cleveland, I was very skeptical of him playing on the right side. But I also thought, just from watching him, I'm no offensive line expert, obviously, but just from watching him, his athletic ability, I thought like he could play guard. I thought this position he could play. He's a big guy, maybe not like huge, but like he's a pretty big guy. And, it's looked very good, the offensive line the past 2 weeks, but it is going to be a struggle. The key next week for the Vikings is there can't be like the block punts and the turtle. There can't be any of that.
Can't be.
If you don't turn the ball over against the Bears, you have a shot because they're even though the Vikings defense is probably not that good, the Bears offense probably won't be able to drive the entire length of the field, all game. They're just the Bears offense stinks. I hope they're not good next week either.
Yeah. I agree with that. Also, another thing is listen, it's going to be the strength of the Vikings run game. That's the strength. That's one of the best in the league. And that's the Bears defense, one of the best in the league. Like, can the Vikings still be able to run the ball is going to be the question. Is this running game special? Because, I mean, if you look over the past 2 weeks, yes, the Panthers and the Lions and the Packers have 2 of the worst rush defenses in the league. Can we continue that against probably one of the best rushing defenses in the league in Chicago?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is definitely something to look out for next week is can Dalvin keep this going? And he doesn't need to go for 200. I mean, if he goes for 200, we're going to win a lot of games. But can he just eclipse like 4 yards a carry? Can he eclipse 100 yards like he has? And that's a question because, honestly, the offensive line – they look good. Like, it's not like just like they're moving around or like Dalvin's making these crazy runs or which he is. However, the offensive line is giving them holes. Akeem Hicks scares me a lot in the middle. Obviously, everything they got going on over there.
They're getting some push, which is good to see. Like, they're getting some push, and even on you said it on that 2-minute drive, which the Lions defense, oh my god, but
yeah, then
like Cousins was able to step up, and he actually stepped up in the pocket. And, like those 3rd and 10s and those 3rd and longs, like I know you texted during the game, like it's very frustrating when Cousins dumps it off short. It's bothersome. But, one thing they might want to consider, do more of is just dumping the ball off to Cook on those plays. And, if Kirk's going to dump the ball off, that's the guy to dump it off to.
Yep.
So, like, I'm it'll be interesting to see. I think if they're able to run the ball next week, because the Bears defense, if you look at the stats, they have given up. They're not great against the run, but if I'm guessing what they're gonna do is they're gonna try to focus on stopping the run. They're gonna get up and the Vikings receivers, and they're gonna try to make Cousins make quick decisions, and they're gonna try to get that front 7 home on Cousins. So I'm concerned about next week because it's always the Bears, and we'll see as the Panthers line up to kick a 67-yard.
Yeah, the Panthers are currently attempting a 67-yard field goal for the win in Kansas City.
He had the leg.
Oh, wow. He just shanked it right. Yeah, that's tough. Well, that was crazy. But, anyways, just thoughts from today. I thought – listen, Jim, you said it before we went live, but after that first run where Dalvin had 12 yards – on the first run, I was kind of under the impression like this might be a long day for the Lions defense. Yeah. Like everything's just felt so easy offensively recently. Mm-hmm. And again, I was a little disappointed. If we're just going to critique the offense, I know they played out of their mind today, but if we're just going to critique them, after you get those turnovers by Eric Wilson and Eric Kendricks, great teams, they put a team down. And I guess, the Lions were already kind of down. Yeah. But I just wish they would have kind of put their foot on their mouth, like taking more chances. Taking more chances on first down, which they were doing throughout the game. Cousins, they showed that one stat where Cousins passing on first down.
Yeah.
It was like 127 yards, 2 touchdowns or something like that, which I love seeing. This passing on first down, being aggressive, setting up the second down run where Dalvin then can break it, and also keeping the defense kind of on their toes a little bit, where it's not like, all right, we know the Vikings are running on first down.
Yeah. And, on one of those possessions following the turnover, it was a 3rd and 5, and they had Thielen one-on-one, and Cousins just really didn't give him a shot. And, not to critique Cousins because Cousins played fine. It's really been set up well for him the past 2 weeks. He's done a nice job, but, I'm assuming over the bye week that Zimmer, Zimmer, he told they were talking about it. It was on the first drive where Cousins hit Rudolph. He did have Thielen deep, but there's been talk. They were talking about over the bye week that they want. I'm assuming Cousins even talked about himself that sometimes you got to take what the defense gives you, and sometimes I think it's kind of hard to find the in between with him. It's either one or the other. Like there are times where Cousins just gonna miss the wide open guy downfield, but he'll dump it and get the sure completion. Yeah. But that is what it is. That's just kind of the life with Kirk Cousins. But yeah, like you said, even on that last, it didn't matter, but even on that 4th and 1 at the end of the game where they threw it into the end zone, which I loved because although for a team that stinks, the Lions sure do like to talk. And
they were. I said the same thing during the game.
Everson Griffin this week, I don't know what motivation he was trying to pull. I hope he's okay. Because he was it was really odd this week. What he was doing, but even that 4th one at the end of the game, hit Thielen for that touchdown.
I know.
Put it away.
And I know I know the announcer kind of got on, said Cousins, he made a comment he hasn't thrown the ball in an hour.
Caught that ball too.
Thielen probably was a little off, but in the chat, Kevin Stern says, "Did you say anything about Irv? What are your thoughts on him today?" I think that's. Listen, I never really thought of Irv as kind of like a red zone guy, but if you've seen his touchdowns over the past few years, they're all red zone touchdowns. All of them are red zone touchdowns, and I like it because honestly, Irv, he's a great blocker. He's turning into a really good blocking tight end. And the play action in the red zone is going to be there. He's so athletic. He's not as big as a guy like Gronk or Rudy like we've seen, but he is still a big dude. He's still a tight end. And I just want to see Irv in between the 20s. Like, I want to see Irv in the middle of the field. Like thank God on the opening drive when we hit Rudolph for that one big gain. But I mean, anyways, it's still the Dalvin Cook show right now. And I want to Cousins, 20 attempts today, 14 last week. Like, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Out of the Vikings sticking to what they know, being who you like, truly like. Listen, over the first 6 weeks, the thing that frustrated me with them was I felt like they never really found their identity. Like, yes, Cook was the best player. Like, we all kind of knew that. But, like, Cousins was throwing the ball a lot during those first. And, yes, it was because we got down in games. But I think we're finally starting to find an identity with this team, which is, like, this offense can run the ball, but it's also explosive. It's not just like a milk the clock type of run.
No.
I mean, Dalvin, if you miss a hole, like, defensively, he's gone because you can't arm tackle him.
Yeah, and it puts so much pressure on the defense. And, you know, two things they've done so well, you know, you talk about them getting down in games early. You know, they were down early last week, but two things that they've done really well the last 2 weeks, they've scored a touchdown before the half. Last week, they doubled up. They scored a touchdown before the half, and they scored a touchdown in their first possession of the third quarter. Like, that's huge. Like, today they scored a touchdown before the half, but then they had like 4 and out before when they came out their first possession. But, you know, they've gotten up. It was just nice today, a nice start. Like, they got a 3 and out, and they took the lead, and it was 7-0. And, you know, then they could kind of get into their offense. You know, that's the thing about you know, with next that you just worry that, you know, there's going to be a situation where, you know, what if they get down 10 or 14 coming up here in these next weeks? You know, are they going to be able to, you know, move the ball? But, you know, I want to see Irv between the 20s too. Like, but it is hard. Because these last 2 weeks with Irv, or, you know, even with Thielen, Jefferson, Smith, and Rudolph, like, you know, it's, you know, they've spread the ball out, but those guys are only getting like 2 or 3 catches because they've just been able to run the ball so much. Like, that's the thing. Like, those guys aren't getting a ton of targets because they haven't needed them. Like, which is crazy to say.
Yeah. We got a question from the chat from Jaden Berry. If the Vikings truly can put something together, could they go to the Super Bowl, or is that just wishful thinking at this point?
I think it's wishful thinking.
You know what? I mean, the Super Bowl thought is definitely an insane thought right now for a 3-5 team. I don't care if this is like, if for some reason this ends up being the best 3-5 team in NFL history, but for this year, the NFC, besides the Buccaneers,
not great.
Really no. I mean, I wouldn't be scared of going to Seattle again in the playoffs. I wouldn't be scared of going to New Orleans. I wouldn't be scared of going to Green Bay. So, I mean, yes, NFC is wide open. The Vikings just need to still handle business. That's first. But I mean, wishful thinking right now. Hey, a winning streak for the first time this year. 2 wins in a row. That's a winning streak. We're counting.
It's a winning streak. You know, it'd be nice if they could sweep the division. I mean, that would be great. Like, that gets you back in it. Like, I don't think I was looking at Green Bay's schedule. I don't think the Vikings will catch the Packers this year.
I don't.
You never know. I mean, but like you said, I mean, even Tampa Bay, like, this year, like, I think they're the best two-way team. Like, because their defense is, you know, they got some nice players in that defense, especially Antoine Winfield Jr. You know, he's been a really nice bright spot for in his rookie year. But, like, I mean, Seattle gave up 44 points today at Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo's got some nice players, obviously, with Diggs and everything. But 44? Like, like, they're not that good. Like, Seattle's defense stinks.
Seattle.
And Green Bay's defense stinks.
Well, and it's also like with these I mean, especially with Green Bay, I mean, I would not be concerned if this is a playoff game to have us just turn the ball and hand it off to Dalvin like we did. Even Seattle, like, I wouldn't be that scared of Seattle again. I mean, listen, if Dalvin doesn't get hurt, we win that game in Seattle. And I know, like, this is totally wishful thinking, but here we have I just saw this in the chat, Jim. You actually like this. Tom from Kevin Stern. Tom Brady lost to Eli twice. Why not Kirky? That's a great point. Kirk Cousins upset Tom Brady.
Oh, like
Yeah. I mean, it's wishful thinking, but
yeah, I mean, I'm still very, very skeptical if the Vikings make the playoffs. I mean, when you put
yeah,
yourself in a 1-5 hole, like, you're basically asking, the NFC is not good, but there still are teams that are, the Cardinals are 5-2,
yeah, they're an
as they kick
interesting
off.
team.
The Rams are 5-3. The Niners, they're probably in a trouble because their whole team got hurt. But
Yeah,
like, the Bears are still ahead of them, and like, the Bears, as bad as they are, like, even if the Bears split with the Vikings, like the Bears still have Jacksonville and Tennessee and
yeah,
Detroit on their schedule. Like,
yeah.
so it's hard. Really, all the Vikings got to do is they just got to keep winning. And
Listen, I think it's just a week by week. I
yeah,
mean,
exactly.
listen, when you start 1-5, it's gonna be a week by week because
Yeah,
hey, listen, we could be having totally different talks if we go lose in Chicago next weekend. Which no,
exactly.
like I mean, the Vikings dug themselves such a hole, which is why I'm a little frustrated. Listen, I actually woke up today very nervous that they were gonna lay an egg today, just knowing Zimmer, knowing Cousins. But I mean, listen, we did what we needed to last week. Shock Green Bay. If we wanted any chance at the playoffs, that's where it started. Handle business against the Lions at home. 2-0 against the division after the bye. Now we just need to make it 3-0. I
Yeah,
mean, that's it. I mean, that's where it is. And then look at our next 3 home games. That
very
is an
winnable.
easy stretch. You can sit at home after the Chicago game. And I think the first one's Dallas. And then it's the Panthers in between or some, and then it's the Jaguars. The Panthers game is obviously a little concerning, Teddy coming back, like, and all of that. But
Yeah.
I mean, you look at it, the Vikings have a really good chance right here to really get to above 500.
Yeah, I mean the opportunity's there. I mean these next 4 games are all. I mean, you couldn't ask for more winnable games. Like,
Exactly.
I mean, and they have two even at and you know let's say, and I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but let's say miraculously they win these next 4 games. They're 7-5, and
Yep.
they still got to go to Tampa Bay, New Orleans, but then they get the Bears at home, and then they'll at the Lions, and
Lions. Yep.
you can see 9-7, and
Yep.
that's possible. Again, I don't think it's going to happen because again, on Monday night, I'm not going to believe the Vikings are going to win Soldier
Yeah.
Field
I will never.
until I see it. Like, I just
Yeah.
don't see it. And then also, like, I never rule out, like, again, what happened against Atlanta. I never rule out a game like that can
Yeah.
happen again. Like, especially even Jacksonville. Like, Jacksonville stinks. They play pretty hard still. Carolina, I think their roster's
Yep.
not great, especially defensively, but still they play hard and they're in every game. Like, and they got some great offensive teams. So, like, even Dallas, like, who's a mess. I mean, they
They
are
got
a
talent still. I
complete
mean, it's
mess, but
not,
they still got talent. So, like,
and especially if
and
Dalton is back by then, which he probably will be, that's still a scary offense. I
yeah,
mean,
and
Dallas is never just an easy. I mean, I know Dallas is an absolute dumpster fire, but there's no easy wins on the Vikings schedule, knowing
no,
this Vikings team.
yeah, I mean, defensively, like, I mean, just look at that. I mean, the defensive backs. I
I
mean,
know.
Gladney, I will say Jeff Gladney had a nice game today. That was really good to
Yep,
see.
glad he did.
Chris Boyd made a nice play. Not great all the time, but he did make a nice play. They got that Chris Jones guy, a new guy in there. I didn't see Harrison Hand play very much today.
I don't know.
Um,
He was
he
banged
get
up
a
a lot.
hamstring.
Yeah,
Hopefully Cameron Dantzler can come back. But again, like,
pretty big.
the Vikings don't have a consistent pass rush. It's getting better, I'll say.
It
Like,
is.
they're starting to move. Like, they're starting to get more of a rush now. I mean, it's even been better without an Ngakwe. So I guess we just tell you that. I mean,
Yeah,
but we'll see.
yeah,
Like, again, I'll say it, like, this is an offensive league, and like the Vikings, they can score. Like we've said
yeah,
all year, like they have as many weapons as you need to score. And if their offensive line plays like the way they've been playing, they can get on a run.
yeah. Just from the chat, real quick. Gaming with Aiden, Kirk Vember. I mean, listen, Kirk Tober was a thing last year. Maybe is it Kirk Vember getting fired up? 2-0 in November so far, 2 divisional wins. That could be something right there to keep an eye on. All right, here's an interesting question for Game with Any again. If we make the playoffs, do you think it would be worth it either way? Assuming if we make the playoffs, we'll be like the 7th or 6th seed most likely, and having to go against the powerhouse early on. I'm always under the impression listen, you play the win, and especially with how young this Vikings team is, get them that experience of going to the playoffs. I mean, why not? So, I mean, yes, it would suck for draft, but
Yeah.
I mean, if this team could somehow pull out, like going on a stretch of winning, like going 8-2 the end of season, why not? You know?
Yeah. Here's the thing with that, exactly, whatever happens down the season here. The Vikings, win as many games as you can. I mean,
Yeah.
look, I was super, when this bad start happened, I was super skeptical that they would be close enough to be as bad as some of the other teams.
Yeah.
The Jets and Giants are, oof. I think the Giants did win today though, but I mean, Washington stinks. Those teams are pretty bad, and those teams don't have, unless I missed something, but unless those teams really don't have some of the offensive talent that the Vikings do.
No, it's not even
And
close.
yeah, so I mean, you win as many games as you can. Again, it's not like the Vikings don't have draft capital next year. If they really want to move up, if they see a quarterback that they like and it's going to cost a lot.
Zach Wilson, BYU is who I want,
but I know they don't have their second round pick, and I get that, and they probably wouldn't do it. But the Vikings have a lot of draft capital. They also drafted 15 guys this past year, and I think if I remember correctly, they had double-digit draft picks this year too. They have two third-rounders and two fourth-rounders, and maybe another compensatory pick coming.
Yep.
So it's not like they're not going to be able to draft a ton of guys this year. Yes, you'd like to be as far up as you can because obviously we all want to draft a quarterback in the future. But again, it's not like it's easy to get out of their current quarterback's contract. It's not like you can just say cut them. So really, wherever you fall in the draft, you fall in the draft. You can still get a really good player.
I mean, you look at the Chiefs made the playoffs the year before they drafted Mahomes. The Seahawks were 9-7 the year before they drafted Russell Wilson. I mean, the whole notion that you need to be a top 10 pick to get a stud, I don't think is always the case. I just think it comes down to the team choosing their guy and sticking with them. I mean, the Chiefs moved up to go get Mahomes after making the playoffs with an Alex Smith, who's very comparable to a Kirk Cousins, can win. Can he get you over the hump, though? So I think that's something I've always compared the Chiefs to the Vikings for some reason when it comes to the Kirk Cousins, Alex Smith, the fan base, everybody wants that guy. Everybody wants the next Mahomes. But the thing is, it's harder than it looks. To get that guy is way harder than you think it is. From the chat, here, we'll see what we got going on here. All right, here we go from Star Lego 187. If you only saw these past two games, what would your record or your thoughts be on the Vikings? Obviously, if we're looking at the last two games, if these were the first two games of the year and we were sitting at 2-0, I'd probably be feeling pretty confident. But listen, I would love to just focus on the two games and act like Atlanta, act like those games before didn't happen. But they did. But over the past two games, I would be saying Dalvin Cook should be the league favorite for MVP. It's literally been the Dalvin Cook, and I love how the media is going to give all the love to Dalvin, national media. They're going to say, but the offensive line, Vikings fans, can we just take a second to appreciate, we all give this Vikings offensive line for the past 5 years, it seemed like they can never get it right. Kirk Cousins has stayed up in the pocket pretty cleanly, except for I remember that fluke blitz against Green Bay and then the fluke one today where he has no chance. But credit to the offensive line. Ezra Cleveland is looking like an actual Pro Bowl type of guard. And the thing I love about the offensive line right now, and I love about Dalvin, was Dalvin posted. So, for example, the NFL tweeted out Dalvin won Offensive Player of the Week, right? And then Dalvin quoted the tweet, as you see on Twitter, with a picture of him and the offensive line. Because
Mhm.
people forget that is like Dalvin can only go as far as the offensive line takes him, and he's making incredible cuts, incredible reads. But even the pass blocking has been better. The run blocking, I mean, Ezra Cleveland right now, him, Bradbury, and O'Neal, just the dog they have on that right side of the line. Reef has been incredible. Even Dozier, I see
Yeah,
him getting
that's
into
what I
it.
was gonna say. Like, I think people also forget, like, a lot of teams, they don't like a lot of teams don't have like all these like Pro Bowl caliber guards. Like a lot of guards are like fourth, fifth.
Yep.
You know, going on there. There's a couple of them like Quentin Nelson and like some of the Saints
Zach
offensive line
Martin,
were
yeah,
great guys,
couple.
but like a guy like Dakota Dozier, like is he great? Obviously not. Would I even say he's like good? I mean, maybe, but like
Maybe,
he's been.
yeah.
I mean, unless again, PFF I know is grading him pretty low, but from what I've seen, I feel like he's just been average. And like,
Yeah.
has he been like, we had Pat Elflein playing left guard last year. Like, has he been better than Elflein? And you probably say if he hasn't been better, he's just been the same.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's been fine. Like, it's nice to see these last two games and like, there was a lot of trade talk about Reef to possibly Tennessee.
Yeah.
And the Vikings weren't probably going to get what they probably,
They were
if
probably
it were
asking for a
me,
second or a third or something.
yeah, the Vikings are probably looking for a second or a third, and they probably Titans, with the way the trade deadline was this year, Desmond King, who's a really good cornerback, got traded for a sixth.
Yeah.
Like, Riley Reef, what were they getting offered? Like a sixth or a seventh? You might as well just keep him at that point. Like, and I mean, if Reef continues to play well, and again, hopefully it's not just like a one-off year. Like,
Yeah.
and he continues to play well. Ezra Cleveland plays well at guard, and then Bradbury has had a nice year, and O'Neal's just been O'Neal. Like, then you got four guys there that you feel like you can go forward with.
Yep.
And
100%.
that's something that they just haven't had over these past couple of years.
Yeah, from the chat, I mean, Carson White says, yes, O-line has been incredible lately. And he says, well, for what we're used to. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, from what we've seen, Kevin Stern's kind of taking a shot at I don't know who it is, like Zimmer, O-line coach. He said, and Ezra wouldn't even have sniffed the field without the injuries, which is kind of true, which is like kind of concerning is the Vikings. I don't even know if we'll be playing with them. And then Kevin also says, I'll take average when it comes to our guards. Kind of off the point you were making. Exactly. I mean, I think a lot of teams, when it comes to guards, would take average.
They're average. Guards is like one of the least, like, I guess, again, like running backs is named as one of the least important positions according to PFF. And, but we see like a guy like Cook or McCaffrey, like they make big differences, know. So, I mean, you take average. I mean, like, but you're right. I mean, I gotta, unless, I get they want to be patient with their rookies. Like, I was kind of surprised. They have this new guy in the defensive line, Abdullah Anderson, number 60. And James Lynch is now not active today. Yeah, so they must like to be patient, but I'm sorry. Who is thinking Drew Samia over Ezra Cleveland?
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, what goes on in these practices? Like,
thank God
I have to see for myself.
Oh my God, that's the only time I'll root for Vikings injury was Samia getting hurt. But I want to give the biggest shout out in the world because again, like I've been saying, CJ Ham, I think he's growing to be maybe one of my favorite Vikings of all time. The fullback position is probably the most non-talked about, just disrespected position in the NFL. But to have a guy like CJ Ham, and do you remember how last year in Seattle, how they went 6 offensive linemen on us for most of that game, and they ran all over us?
Yep.
That's what I feel like when we have him. He plays a ton. I mean, listen, the amount of times. I mean, I'll probably do a film breakdown on this, but like Dalvin saw a hole, but he saw CJ go a different way, and then he just completely followed CJ to the hole. I mean, Dalvin literally just follows CJ wherever he goes, and CJ, I don't care. I mean, he had a hell of a game against Seattle. He put Bobby Wagner on his ass a couple of times, but CJ Ham, I mean, lay the hammer down with him. He is just he is making life for Dalvin Cook so easy. And he is making him look so I love CJ Ham right now. He's playing out of his mind.
CJ Ham needs a neck roll. You know,
Does need a neck roll. Bring some flair.
Matthew, these two of the Vikings reporters, if any of the listeners follow them, Courtney Cronin and Matthew Collar do these, like, I listen to them during the week sometimes, and they're really good. Talk about guys like neck rolls, like old football type guy. CJ Ham is that guy. Like, he's very important to the Vikings offense, and that's one of the things that I will say that with the Vikings offense, and we have gotten on them at times because there are times where they are frustrating as heck, and like where they do get pretty vanilla. But the one thing I do like is they do keep things pretty simple. I listen to ESPN 1000 in the morning, and trust me, like there are fans begging here in Chicago that are dying for a simplified offense where they use the fullback, use I formation, stuff like that. Like,
well, it's also with the Bears. I mean, it's like sometimes like they'll run the most complex run and it'll go for like 2 yards, and then the next play they'll run the most generic run that you have ever, like the Bears, like what the Bears are doing right now, how they're wasting that defense. I mean, that's a Super Bowl defense. Playmakers. I mean, they do everything well on defense, and I bet you the defensive numbers would look a lot different for that Bears team if they had even a capable offense. Like, you might look at the Bears defense and be like, all right, well, they're probably around what now, like 7th in scoring a lot. I bet you they would be top 3 at least if they had a capable offense, because it's just a possession thing. They're on the field so much, and it makes me so upset because it is on Nagy at the end of the day. And I think, listen, Zimmer, if you cannot come up with a defensive game plan to shut this Bears offense down, I am going to be absolutely furious. Like, if we lose because the Bears offense hangs 20 plus on us, I mean, listen, the Vikings defense hasn't given up less than 20 all year now.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it needs to happen next Monday night.
I mean, it should have really, it really should have happened today. I mean, like, like if the Lions,
I mean, if they don't block 2 punts, but
if the Lions don't block 2 punts, and then also, the Lions, were living in the Vikings territory most of the game today. Like they were able to move the ball. Like, I feel like the Bears are going to move the ball times next week. But like, again, like the Bears are doing we've talked about the Vikings self-destructing at times. The Bears have self-destruct a lot offensively. Like,
they do.
I would it was a 4th and 1 situation today, and they're down 10-0, and they had 2 false starts in a row. Go from 4th and 6 to 4th and 11. Like last week, they had Javon Wims punching a guy. Like they will self-destruct. Like I don't care about like how good of everyone talks about how good of a culture they have up there.
I mean, Tennessee's defense is not good.
No, they're not.
I hope everybody understands. Tennessee does not have Clowney wasn't even playing today. So I don't want to hear listen, there's clearly game script and there's a game plan. There's tons of game plans out there on probably how to stop Chicago's offense. I mean, this needs to be on the back of Dalvin. Hopefully he can get going in Chicago. But this is just going to be probably one of the grittiest games in a while, and it's going to come down the field goals. And God forbid, Bailey, please, just 1 week. If there's any week you're going to not miss a field goal, have it be next week in Chicago. Special teams needs to be going.
2 things I'll say.
Oh, here we go. We got Mike coming in. Yeah, keep going.
Oh, good. Mike's coming in. Good. 2 things I'll say is, first of all, the National Football League has to stop putting the Vikings and the Bears on Monday Night Football, because next week's game is not going to be pretty. All right, it's going to be a slugfest. If you watch a Big Ten Northwestern Iowa game, watch it and expect that next Monday night. That's what it's going to be. No offense to Northwestern Iowa. Like, I'm a Michigan fan. Have all the jokes you want. They stay.
Yeah, Indiana.
But and then also, I don't know what it's going to take for the Lions to fire Matt Patricia, but He is awful. He is a bad head coach. Their defense looks like it's never been coached before. It's
Yeah, it's bad.
hilarious. Like it's just funny that they and not take away credit from the Vikings because they executed today, but my God, like the Lions, like Matt Patricia, I can't believe he hasn't been fired yet.
Yeah. Well, welcome, Mike, to the live stream. We're going for a little bit here. Just having technical difficulties. Mike, if you just want to give your thoughts on today, like what'd you think out of you saw from all three phases? If you can kind of just go on your spiel right now. Me and Jim have been kind of talking for a while here, but good win. I mean, good win. It's got to feel good. Anyways, what'd you think today?
Yeah, it was a good win today. Kind of like similar to last week. Obviously, the run game was doing really well. They're getting gashes. It was bad. I mean, the Lions D. Wow, it's pretty bad. How the tackling and and then they were mixing the play action there, especially in the first half. They were getting big chunks, and like we said, that's how the Vikings win. Run first, and then get the play action going, and
run.
And then the second half, was Zimmer ball, fourth quarter, boys.
Yeah.
Pounding ground,
I am so shocked I'm actually shocked they threw the ball on that 4th and 1.
Yeah, me too.
I am so shocked.
He should have caught that.
Yeah, he should have. Like, good. Like I said to Pat, Mike, as you jump in here, I don't know what's wrong. Like, I don't know what's going on with Everson Griffin. Like,
oh my God.
The Lions block a punt. They're down 17, and they're posing for pictures in the end zone. It was hilarious. Like, it was great. Like, they're posing for pictures in the end zone. Everson Griffin, he made he said this week, like he was like to be ready, and he played he was even out there. Like,
no, yeah, I didn't even notice Ev on the line.
I didn't realize he was playing. Until I think he said his name one time.
He started talking.
He was talking to Zimmer during the game. It was fantastic. I hope he's okay. Like, I hope Everson's okay.
I was gonna make an entire video going in on Ev, but I kind of had to restrain myself just out of respect.
Yeah,
but like,
he's a good player.
I mean, for the people who don't understand, Zimmer called Everson Griffin a good football player, and Everson, for some reason in his head, took that as the most offensive comment that Mike Zimmer could have ever made on him by calling him a good, not a great player. Like, I mean, I don't know who Ev, listen, Ev was great for the city of Minnesota. He was great when he was here. But, I feel like the word great goes along, guys, with, Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt. Daniil Hunter's great. Daniil Hunter is going to be a great – maybe, I don't know. I mean, Ev maybe was just trying to find motivation, to get going for this game. But, what other why you got to trash the coach who kind of made you, into who you are? Yeah, I mean, developed him completely.
I mean, it was just odd. It was just very odd. And
then, sorry to cut you off. After the 4th down play, I don't know if you guys could pick it up on the TV, but he's yelling, "Hey, Kirk!"
Yeah, I know. That was great. That was awesome. Obviously, I don't know if he is taking offense because the Cowboys dumped him for a 6th-round pick, and people think he's just washed up. Honestly, I said after last year, he played really good in that New Orleans game, but you look at he had a really good start to last year, and it was kind of what he's been doing the past 4 years, 3-4 years is it's off to that great start, and then as the season goes on, he kind of just fades a little bit. So I don't know. It was just hilarious to hear him talk trash. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was wild. I mean, Mike, we were kind of talking about Eric Wilson for a while and just his development. I mean, what did you think today with a sack and a interception on Stafford? Stafford made a couple really bad decisions today.
Yeah, I was a crazy stat. I saw that he had 5 of the Vikings 7 takeaways to coming into. That's unbelievable. I had no idea. That's pretty impressive. I guess he's the Anthony Harris of this year, guys, right? I mean, with the takeaways. But I mean, he made some big plays. I mean, I thought he looked pretty good, and obviously Kendrick had that big pick too in the red zone. But what was Stafford doing there? I don't know where he was looking on those two passes. He just didn't see Wilson, I don't think. But I mean, yeah, I mean, he kind of had neck for the big play there. So it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about. I mean, I would love to give Harrison Smith credit for having an interception today, but I think about everybody listening and us three could have caught that ball from.
I don't know where that ball was going.
Yeah, that was rough. But I mean, if we're looking forward to next week, Mike, we were kind of talking about earlier is one, if the Vikings can they continue to run the ball like they have been in Chicago, and if they can't, is there another layer? Or is this it? So I mean, what do you think? I mean, we were kind of under the impression that Chicago's gonna. I mean, this is gonna be the toughest game of the year for this offense.
Yeah, it always is when you go to Soldier Field. I feel like the Vikings offense just never shows up or just never plays well at all. But I mean, the Bears D line is pretty impressive. They shut down Derrick Henry today. A majority of the guys watching some of that game too. He had 38 yards, I think, going to the fourth quarter. So I mean, but that's what they're gonna have to try to get some runs going, because if they're gonna drop back and try to pass, that's where Kirk fails us. He'll throw.
He's gonna be bound. So I mean,
They gotta kind of come up with some creative ways maybe to get Cook. Maybe not always run the ball, but get him in space. Maybe run some screen passes to him. Just get some short. Maybe dump offs to him, get him going, and get him in space. But yeah, that Bears D, they're aggressive. So we'll see. It's gonna be interesting if they can keep it up. But I mean, it's got to be the same recipe. Get big gains in the run, and then get that play action going with Kirk. So we'll see.
There's a stat that I just want to let you guys know on. A quick stat here: the Vikings, the last time the Vikings scored an offensive touchdown in the first half at Soldier Field was in 2014. Just remember that. They haven't scored an offensive touchdown.
That is awful.
At Soldier Field.
It's embarrassing.
In the first half now. They've scored touchdowns at Soldier Field. But they haven't scored an offensive touchdown in the first half since 2014. Enjoy. That field is the worst stadium in the league, and it's just a nightmare.
I mean, listen, Soldier Field might. The turf or whatever the hell they got going on, the grass there. I mean, it might look Dalvin. It may have Dalvin looking slow, is what I'm trying to say. Listen, the field there is awful. It kind of plays in perfectly though who they are. But here's a question from the chat. How did you guys feel about AP in a Lions uniform? He goes, that really made me cringe. Listen, the thing about AP going to the Redskins and the Lions, I'm just kind of sitting and wondering why he's there.
This is his fourth team, right? Since the Vikings, he's been with Saints. He went to the Saints. He went to the Cardinals because the Saints.
He was with the Cardinals.
Yeah,
Washington and Detroit. This is
weird.
AP is now the journeyman. He's been the journeyman running back, which he still runs pretty well.
He still looks decent.
Not bad, but I got used to it.
Yeah. Another comment goes, COVID year is a year we win at Soldier Field. Maybe, 2020, a lot of weird things.
Weird.
Vikings winning in Soldier Field could be the weirdest.
Possible.
It is possible.
You never know. Bears offense ain't very good, but
not very good. Vikings, they're dumpster fire.
Yeah, the Bears
offense. The Vikings are coming to town, though, boys. This is where Nick Foles gets right.
This is the Nick Foles get right game.
Yeah.
He ended up throwing for I think I saw Nick Foles' stats today. He had over almost 350 yards. It's garbage time, obviously, but
it
was ended up putting up a pretty big stat line. That's good for fantasy. Anyone has.
What's going to be upsetting is when they run those awful plays to Cordero Patterson. They get usually blown up. They're going to go for 8-9 yards next week.
Oh, I guarantee.
It's just going to be awful.
Yeah.
Well, I was watching the Bears. A couple times this year. I get trying to get the ball to Cordero. He is a stud. He is fast, but Jesus. Nagy tries to just force him the ball. In the most uncomfortable situations, and then they always go for -2 yards. Like the Bears the offensive line. I tell you what, the Vikings defensive line. If you want to put up some numbers next week, you better be hoping you're going to have a lot of fun because listen, there's going to be a lot of offensive possessions next week. There's going to be a lot of stops, and I think it's going to come down. Cousins can't turn the ball over next week. You cannot give the Bears offense a short field because they have troubles getting first downs. You can't have them start at the 50-yard line or even in their own territory. That's really my main concern.
Yeah, that's me too. Bears D so aggressive too. It always worries me because they'll bring all-out blitzes. Cousins will be like a statue sometimes too, and just either take sacks or just start panicking and just throw the ball. And who knows? So
Akeem Hicks next week will be a nice challenge for Ezra Cleveland.
It will be.
Garrett Bradbury. That'll be tough. The Bears front seven makes things very difficult, and when you watch their games, like they'll bring they haven't had a blitz that much because they get so much pressure. But like then what they're going to do is they're probably going to get right up in the face of the Vikings receivers. So we'll see how Kirk handles that.
You gotta hit big throws against the Bears D. That's the key to beating them. You got to hit deep shots to get points. Titans did that a couple times today to get points. One was AJ Brown I saw, and so that's the key. You got to hit big plays against them.
Yeah, I mean I agree with that. Comment in the chat: screens could definitely be with how aggressive they are. Screens are a great way to get behind them. Also, Jim, I think you mentioned it earlier when we were talking about the third downs that Cousins had. I think he picked up 2 of them to Cook, where Cook ran underneath and he made a great play. The Bears, they have Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have paid attention to what Roquan's doing this year in Chicago, but he's kind of having an Eric Kendricks type of season there. And so that's going to be a great matchup to watch out of the backfield. Is Roquan, Dalvin Cook, like that? That's something I'm going to be watching definitely like during that game. I mean, the Vikings have an extra day of preparation. Obviously, the Bears do too. I really want to see what Gary Kubiak comes up with. I want to see like where they kind of go with the offense because I know Kubiak loves running the ball. Obviously, on the road, that's one of the biggest things you need to do. But could we see Kubiak try to come out early, be aggressive, like not even go and play action, just saying we're going to throw the ball and have that set up the run? I'm curious. What do you guys think Kubiak's thinking right now as he's looking towards Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, I like that mindset. Be aggressive early. I think they had, especially on the road against a D like that. I mean, they're going to be putting guys in the box. Obviously, Cook's had 2 massive games, so they're all going to think the Vikings are going to run the ball. I'm hoping that's what they do. We'll see. I mean, I like to see him, take some shots early, loosen up the D a little bit, but we'll see. But I think that's going to be the recipe right there. Like you said, you got to hit big plays. I mean, that's the key. You can get those chances. You got to connect. Because you're not going to get many of them. So I like that idea, though.
I'm sure Gary's, he should just celebrate this one tonight with Zimmer with the Coors Light and dip. I mean, that's what they should do.
They're already cracking open at 12 right now.
So just enjoy this one tonight. And,
I don't know if you guys saw Zimmer on the sideline. Did you guys see Zimmer on the sideline? Spitting out his dip. It was like the third or fourth quarter. He was taking up his shield. It was great. Yeah, lifted up his shield. He was spitting out his dip. It was awesome. It was classic Zimmer.
It looked like he was gonna like pop a vein when they blocked that second punt.
Oh yeah,
he was so mad.
Zimmer was fine. He was fired up today. Saw him a couple times. He was getting angry at the refs too.
Oh my god,
more than usual.
The Harrison Smith.
That was a rough call. That was a bad call.
The Titans had 2 of those calls today too. They got to stop. I don't know what else defensive players can do. And here's the thing: they're calling flags on those, but they're still happening. I mean, it's impossible. It's just instinct football. Obviously, we want to protect the players.
Yeah.
But that play is always going to be in the game. There's no getting that play out of the game. They can't keep calling that a flag. It's just impossible not. When a receiver, puts his head down, it's impossible for the defender he lowered his shoulder first. The Lions receiver put his head down. What's he supposed to do? It's just a play. There's nothing you can do.
And especially the safety position, you're normally coming downhill.
exactly.
I mean,
That's
like,
the-
what do you – I mean, you're expecting a guy to change his level and everything. But here's a comment that I was actually going to get to from Jaden Berry. Says, I'm concerned with Kirk because lately he's been holding the ball too long, and it's in the hands. And just with the Bears' defense, you could see that being a fumble or an interception. I mean, how many times this year Kirk's – like, he's gearing up the throw, and it gets tipped out, and it goes 10 yards forward, and I'm wondering if it's a fumble or not. Which, I mean, listen, with how athletic those Bears players and how athletic and just aggressive they are, that is something Kirk in and out, and that's why I want to see Irv Smith in between the 20s. Mike, you weren't here, but, I mean, Irv obviously had 2 touchdowns. He was great today on the goal line, but get him the ball early. And, like, early on in these drives, give his Cousins another type of check down besides – I mean, I feel like the check down is always just Dalvin now. But get Irv going, like, I don't know. Like, that's definitely, though. Kirk cannot hang on to the ball next week.
No, he can't do that. I mean, I think you said he's been getting a lot of time, but next week it'll be a different story. I mean, we'll see. I think it's gonna be a big test for the Vikings line because I mean, honestly, you know how much we give the Vikings offensive line crap. I mean, they've been playing pretty well. I mean, especially run blocking has been really, really good. But I mean, even pass protection. I mean, you got to give them credit. They're actually doing a pretty decent job. So I think next week's a big test. But yeah, Kirk, he's got to get that first read, got to throw it. But we'll see because he has a tendency when in these type of games, he'll hold it, be a statue. He won't move in the pocket, either take a sack or throw a bad pass. So we'll see.
Oh God, I just that's what I was telling you earlier, Pat, before Mike came on. Is like during that bye week, I know you got to think that with all those turnovers that Cousins had, some Zimmer was probably in his ears saying like, hey, just take what the defense gives you, like and stuff like that. Like the thing, Kirk Cousins at his best is when he's not having to think, and that when he is because he throws a nice deep ball. It's just there are a couple deep balls. So he threw that beautiful ball to Jefferson on that third down. Like, that's a really nice throw. But yeah, he's got to get the ball out next week. We'll see. If the Bears are able to take the run game away, and the Vikings aren't able to set up their play action, then we'll see what happens. Because if he is getting in that, there are times where like. I wonder if the Vikings could benefit from kind of getting in a hurry up and, putting Cousins in the gun, just getting the ball out and getting the Thielen and Jefferson. Mm-hmm. But those things, they just struggle doing that, because, that's just not Cousins' game, I guess. So we'll see. Just get the ball out and because if he gets sacked, the ball is going to be flying all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, Jim, I think you mentioned it at I think it was when we were playing the Colts. Now I see it every single time he does it. Was it Kirk Cousins when he pats the ball and when he's in the pocket, where he's just sitting there and he just pats it, and then I'm just like, oh Jesus, here we go, here's a fumble. Like I mean, the amount of times he just like doesn't just take advantage of like what the defense. Yeah, that exactly.
That's the ball.
The amount of times he does that during a game, and he needs to be contained to like 3 pats max against the Bears. Like he cannot be patting the ball the entire time, or else the Bears defense is just way too good at just taking advantage of that. And I don't know. I mean, listen, next week's going to be – that's going to be an exciting game. That's definitely going to be fun. And that's what I'm most excited. I'm just excited. The Vikings, this game, if we would have slipped up against Green Bay or the Lions, we could have been looking at just this being the most embarrassing Monday night game in a while for the Vikes. But
it still could be that.
Yeah, it still could.
But,
it's still quite possible.
It's nice. It's nice. The game, I guess, has a little it has some meaning. Again, ESPN and NFL. I don't know why they want this game on Monday night, but
seriously.
Like I was telling Pat before Mike came here, I've watched bits and pieces of the Bears game. It is hard to watch. I always root for the Bears to lose. But like today, I started just hoping that they'd score, just because I just want to see like some action. Like it is an ugly, ugly offense they run, and the game means something. Believe it or not, like they can tie the Bears on the loss side, like I said earlier, which would be nice.
The Bears started 5-1. Vikings started 1-5, which
it's crazy that it's gotten
crazy. It's insane.
God. And I feel like that's just a lot with like the way the NFL does the schedule, I mean, if you have easy breaks early on in the year, a lot of teams can seem way better than they are. And I think, the Bears are a DeAndre Swift. I mean, remember in week 1, he just dropped the touchdown for the win. And then also the Falcons losing a 16-point lead with 6 minutes left. I mean, it's not like the Bears. And then I guess their big win is the Buccaneers. But the Buccaneers, would they have 12 penalties that game?
Yeah.
And, I mean, listen,
Bears gave that one away.
Yeah, the Bears, it's just like they're so good on one side of the ball, and then it's just so bad on the offensive side. It's tough to get a read on like who they are as a team, and I'm excited to look into like what the hell Chicago has going on.
You know what they remind me? They remind me of the 2016 Vikings. Like they're like, remember like the Vikings' whole offensive line like got hurt, and they had like what's his name? TJ Clemmings playing left tackle. Like Bradford's like, I think Bradford's like yards per completion was like 5 yards.
Yeah.
Like because they had to get the ball out of his hand so quick, and they couldn't run because they had Matt Asiata, and like that was kind of like this kind of like the Vikings were playing slugfest, and like before the end of the year where their defense just kind of quit. Like this is kind of what the Bears reminds me of. Like they're just like the 2016 Vikings. They got off to a great start. Now, like their offense is in shambles. Their offensive line is COVID or they're hurt. Like it's just that kind of reminds me of that season.
Also, Montgomery concussion protocol. That'd be actually huge if he could miss Monday. I mean, because he's the only like him and Allen Robinson are the only like playmakers they have that can overcome a bad offensive line. I mean, he makes a ton of guys miss. And who would the Bears run? Cordero? I mean, would Patterson be the workhorse next week against the Vikes?
I think Ryan Null's their backup guy. I think
they lost Tariq Cohen. That's right.
They have Lamar Miller. The Bears have Lamar Miller. I think. I don't think
I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that either. I know Tariq Cohen got hurt.
Yeah. At least thank God no more Jordan Howard there because he just absolutely owns the Minnesota Vikings. But anyways, you guys have any final comments about tonight or going into next week? How are you guys feeling about the current state of the Minnesota Vikings at 3-5 right now?
I don't know. It's they're in an interesting spot now with the schedule they got coming up. To see if you're looking at it, they could run off some wins here to give themselves a chance. But they're just crazy to think about with their cornerback situation. I don't even who's 26. I'm like, I haven't even heard of this guy before. Jones? Is he a practice squad guy?
No, he was a Lions guy, right? I think he came from Detroit.
He just recently signed with them, the Vikings?
Yeah, he was in a COVID protocol. This is his first game.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, next week, obviously it'll probably, make or break if the Vikings lose next week. It'll be tough to make a playoff push if you're still thinking playoffs. So I think, obviously next week it's a must win. I mean, like I said, it's just a kind of an intriguing spot for the Vikings. Can the offense keep doing what they're doing with running the ball and the play action, and can the defense just kind of hang on and get those big turnovers when they can? We'll see. I'm actually kind of excited, honestly. See where it goes from here.
Yeah, it's kept the season interesting. At the beginning of the season, it was that Titans game, where at least the Vikings offense actually looked functional. And now, that's probably been I guess the best thing about this year is that the Vikings offense, for the most part, has been pretty good. They got to be close to around, like, I think they're average like 27, 28 a game, you would think.
It's got to be around there, yeah.
I think it was 26 coming into today's game.
Yeah. So
be over that now. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, they've kept things interesting. I still feel it's 7-9, 8-8 probably, somewhere around there. Yeah. But, if they're playing meaningful games in December, like, that's really all you can ask for, because wherever they end up in the draft now, like, I know we've talked about it, like, and there's some really bad teams.
There are a lot of bad teams.
There's a really good chance that they finish ahead of Detroit. Like, because Detroit, oh boy, they stink. They're not good. Carolina stinks too, but they got some nice offensive players. But I'm just naming off.
They were supposed to stink too.
Naming off teams that, like, what if the Niners just that poor team?
Their whole teams are got COVID.
That's why when you're up 20-10 in a Super Bowl in the fourth quarter, you better win because you never know what happens next year.
Or no, it's true. Good point.
Yeah. Or if you have a chance of playing the first home Super Bowl ever, you don't get beat 38-7 against a backup quarterback. But
another good point.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I mean, anytime, because listen, I mean, these conversations we're having right now, at least there's meaning to it. I mean, we would be looking at who we're going to draft right now if we would have lost one of these last two games. But I mean, hey, they're just hanging on by a thread, and we'll see how long Zimmer can ride this out. Zimmer and Cousins leading the playoff push on the back of probably the MVP.
Establish the run.
Yeah, establish the run. Dalvin Cook making his way back into the MVP conversation, maybe.
Yeah, he leads NFL in touchdown for running backs. I saw.
Yeah,
there.
My buddy Dinosaur Mike said it best: "Win the Zimmer way, baby. Ground and pound and play some defense.
Zimmer tough.
Except there's no more defense, and it's just really a lot of ground. It's just all on the back of the running back. God, Zimmer better give his paycheck to Dalvin Cook for saving his job. Jesus Christ. But anyways, thank you guys for everybody who joined by. We had a lot of people in here. And thank you guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. But yeah, Nick Foles' potential get-right game next week. So see if he can take advantage. But anyways, it's going to be meaningful football in Soldier Field. Thank you guys for everybody who stopped by, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.